Kia ora whānau, welcome to my study at home. I thought I'd do the recordings of videos here so that there's a little bit more quiet and we don't have the banging of doors behind us. And what we do have behind me though is my whakapapa. So I like to make sure that when I'm in my room I'm with the people that have meant something to me, and with my home, the West Coast. I've got some pictures up behind me, as well as some photos of various members and generations of my family going back to my waka, various waka. So this little video we've got is actually going to take you through the development of a survey. You'll see on the screen here that I've got the aim that we've got. So this is a form of evaluation research. I'm evaluating the process and the program in action. I'm trying to look for improvements. I'm trying to make the program better for you. So my current aim, and if I was smart planning, I would have a smart plan around this aim, is how am I going to improve student retention and engagement across the whole BYD. So we're talking 2 year levels and in 2 locations, but we have students who are coming up from the South Island as well. So we're talking the whole BYD. And I want to know specifically in this survey what timetabling arrangements will suit you best. But I also then need to, I've got some sub-questions. I'm thinking, as I'm writing that down, I was thinking, well, actually, are there different needs for different year groups? And perhaps there might be different needs for different locations. And really, are there different needs for students who are full-time working or students who are part-time working? And overall, what advice can students give us when it comes to the evaluation, when it comes to timetabling in the BYD? What I do know when it comes to the analysis and when it comes to putting the survey together, that there are limitations on timetabling. Just the fact that we can't wait to the last minute to do timetabling actually says something. So, or we can't always act on feedback instantly, says something. If I was at the university, it's even worse, I have to admit. Basically, what you are told you are doing, and it takes around 2 to 3 years to get it changed. I also know that we have technologies that we could be using that sit alongside timetabling, so that if my gut instinct as a teacher is to remove blocks and go to, say, university lectures, I'm not saying that we're doing that, then I could counter-argue that by saying, well, maybe I need to be using some other things better, so that students don't think that learning and teaching only happens at particular times. I also know that we have to meet the student needs first, and Montaz has been quite strong on this. She has said all the way along, if we're making any changes in the BYD, are they what the students want? And amongst all of it, I also have to think, when it comes to the feasibility of whatever we're told, is we have to take into account the cost of travelling with tutors. Now, some of this could be countered by technologies, but you know, some of it means we're in experimental stage, so we just don't know what's going to happen. The first thing that I have to make sure that I'm doing on surveys, and you know, this is crossing, we're doing the survey within a program, we're not doing it for research, but I've shaped it so it will appear as if it's a research survey. The first thing that we have to do is make sure we've got a statement of ethics. So what am I meaning by that? A statement that covers informed consent, so that when students start doing the survey, they know exactly what they're doing, and they know why. So the purpose of the survey and what the survey is going to be used for when it's finished. That's informed consent. They also need to know that they're going to come to no harm at all by completing that survey. And finally, they need to know that what they're saying is said in confidence, so that what they're saying isn't going to be talked about in a staff meeting and each staff member's trying to work out what student said what. And one of the best ways of doing this in surveys is by making surveys anonymous. And if you're doing surveys online, you can do that, because what happens is I get the program that I'm going to be showing you to send you out a link. That link doesn't identify you in any way. So when you click on that link and you come to that survey, I cannot track you. I cannot go back and find out who you are. Now, that's a bit different to Smile City stuff and to the other stuff that we talked about in the Colma Brunton, those surveys that are attached to flyby points, those surveys have a secret code behind them. And so when you enter your survey, and if you complete the whole lot, it comes out, your code complete, you get the points. This is not about rewarding you, this survey. Your reward will be seeing program change, but this is about allowing you to say things honestly. So I'm going to set this survey up so I can't track you, so therefore it has, in that extent, become anonymous. If there was a case where there is one student doing one thing, then we run a risk there, but we know that within the BYD we've got at least 3 students in every situation. So here I'm telling the actual purpose. You know, we want to ask what you want. I'm giving people an indication about how long the survey is going to take to complete, and I've actually stated that it's anonymous. Now, if you're doing surveys on pen and paper with a group of young people, say 5, I'd probably say you should use that word confidential instead, because it's a bit easier to take the identity of young people in that case. I'm now saying what the survey is going to be used for. We're going to do a workable timetable, but at the same time there is a possibility that we might have to make a short report, a short case to Welltech if we need something drastically changed. Very important in all surveys that are done remotely, that you tell people who they can contact. Now, if you're doing surveys with young people, you'd need to give them an information sheet or something they can take away, even a business card. Now, I've done information sheets if young people can't read, so that's involved taking a PowerPoint presentation, but giving them a card or something with my phone number on, so that they can contact me if they've got any concerns about what they've done. Always appreciating people for doing stuff is actually very, very important, and thanking people is really, really important. So that's it. It's a short ethics statement. Usually at universities they're quite longer. You know, if this was to go through Welltech, and if this was to be a research project, you would find that this would be more about your responses are going to be used to create a report that will be presented at conferences or in journal articles. So that would be how that would come across here, and no doubt at the end you would have a contact person for the ethics committee, as well as a code saying what application it was, and say this application is code WX2YZ, and so when you contact the convener of the ethics committee, you can say, I've got concerns about this research and its code, and you tell them the code. Okay, so we enter into the research. Now you'll find that because this is online, I don't need a signed consent form. If I was doing this again with young people, I would need some form of consent or some way of allowing them to opt out before it's happened. We're coming down into the survey, and we're coming to a first what we call a branching question. Are you currently a Welltech BYD student? Now you might think originally this is ridiculous, you know, are you currently, you've got to remember this evaluation survey is online, and because it is online, there is a slight chance that someone else might receive your email by mistake. Thankfully the email doesn't contain any confidential information. If that was the case, then I'm expecting that you would say no. If you will say no, the survey is going to go here and stop. End of survey. If you say yes, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Put that back. If you were to say yes, the survey is going to jump over this and go here. This will be a new page. Now this will make sense when it's online. But for the time being, if you were to do this by pen and paper, you would say, at this point you would say, go to question 2, okay, and no, and then you'd probably have that on a new page, like that, okay. No doubt you're not going to be asking this sort of question to, you're not going to be handing out paper surveys to people who are not doing programs and asking whether they're on. Okay, so it's always good to tell people where they're at the survey, so, and what they should be expecting in the questions. So I should note here that doing surveys is a really good first step before you do interviews, because surveys get you learning how to write questions. Well, technically they're closed, but I'm giving them a variety of responses and I'm asking for other. If I wanted to make it completely semi-structured, I'll delete that line there altogether. But because it's a survey, remember, I want to keep it simple, stupid, whatever I mean by that, the KISS principle. I want to make sure that this is going to take a lot less time and a lot less brain power. So I'm giving some options on each of these. So when it comes to timetabling, this is highlighted because I want people to focus on timetabling. What strengths? Highlighted because I want people to focus on strengths. Select all that apply to you, and I've listed a lot of strengths down here, and I've gone through a few times and made sure that I haven't doubled questions. So at this point I made sure I went just having large chunks of time with the tutor. Originally I wrote with the tutor and students is great, and then I remembered what happened in class, that we need to acknowledge that there's something different going on here. So allowing, splitting those two down, so allowing a little bit of a picture to come through. Remember, I'm after a picture. This set of questions will ask you what you'd like to see in future timetabling. I'm going to use a like it here, remember, so I'm going to be looking for difference, not degrees of difference, but just difference of opinion. Very well, well, unsure, not well, not very well. So it's I'm looking at what's called non-dichotomous parts of opinion, sort of more than two opinions. So for each idea, give us some idea about how well this approach would work for you. If I just had very well, not very well, that's dichotomous. You've only got two choices. Non-dichotomous, I'm giving you a continuum of choices to go along, but they are all matters of agreement. You'll see how this shapes up when we get to the survey. So here I've got a whole pile of stuff here that I want your opinion on. Now I'm giving you a completely semi-structured question. I tend not to do this a lot in surveys, but I've done this, and when we get the results, I'll show you how we code. So I'll also take you through the results of the survey and show you how I analyse it in another video. And here, what would work best for your teaching and learning, it's always good to really, have that sort of question at the near end of the survey. Okay, we have one final page. Now all these questions, for most of you will feel like, well, why are they asking me these questions? These are the gender, ethnicity questions you tend to see in a lot of surveys. They're called demographics. Demographics because it's where you fit in a population. Now I'm not really interested in looking at what the boys and the girls said, but if I was to put that question in, say, it would be better to say, finally, what gender are you? Now, I use the word gender rather than sex, because sex is a biologically determined category, and gender is a culturally determined category. So when it comes to sex, it would be boy, girl, androgynous, maybe even transsexual. You could even go down to the bisexual, etc. Sex is very much a biological category, but gender is cultural, and so the male and female categories are cultural. Now I'm going to leave that in there. I'm guessing that we're going to get high attrition on that. A lot of students are going to know that that's not going to mean anything, but they won't answer it. But it might actually look quite interesting when I go to do the analysis, because I know we've got a pretty even spread there. So those questions there, though, they are there for analysis purposes. They are there so when you give the answers, I can break down what has been said where. They are there for me to be able to answer those sub-questions. Okay? Now I come online and I come to a program here called SurveyMonkey. This program is an online survey tool, www.surveymonkey.com. There's a little advertisement there. I love it. It has a very basic plan where you can just ask 10 questions. You can't really do analysis for free. If you were to be using it for a one-off thing within the youth development program, you could, and do basic analysis, you could get a plan for $35 a month. You just have to make sure at the end of the month that you cancel it. So I want to start and create a new survey. So I come up here, create a new survey. I'm going to give it a name. So if you press Alt and Tab, that should take you back to your Alt Tab. So you hold your finger on the Alt key, press the Tab key, and that will take you back to your Word document if it's the only program that's open. I'm going to give it the title that it deserves. It's an education survey. And now I'm going to say continue. Voila, I have a new survey. I never use that question bank. Okay, so add a question. Yep, add text. Okay, this is my information page. Go back, come down here, copy, Control C, paste, Control V, put a couple of paragraphs in. Save and close. So there you go, that's my very first page. I have that as the first page because what will happen when the survey finishes is that it will come up as one screen, the little arrow that says next, and that's quite key, because if you have that on the first page, it acts as a consent form. As soon as your participant presses next, they have consented to the survey. So therefore, they have acknowledged that they have got an understanding of what it's for. They know that their name is anonymous, and that they're willing to give it a go. Okay, so they're wanting to do it. Add a page. So the first thing I'm going to do is edit page options, edit page information. I'm going to give this the heading timetabling and teaching and learning. Oh, the BYD, I just remembered this. Save it. Right, here we go. Now we get to the add a question. Add a question. Choose a question type. I want a multiple choice, only one answer. Come back here, down here. Are you currently a WellTech student? Take that one out. These are the silly questions that they have in their question bank. I need, whilst they look good, the problem is they show you how a question should be written, but often they might be missing something specifically. Like I need that WellTech BYD in there. So save and close. I'm doing that at this point because, again, I know this is going to branch. It's going to take people in two different directions. So because of that, I'm going to add another page. Okay? And I don't do the branching until afterwards. So the branching is like a flow chart. If you've answered this, then you go there. If you answered this, then you go there. So I'm going to add a text. You see, I'm just working down through the document. So Alt Tab, add the text, save and close. Oh, I think I forgot to say I wanted to make that just text. So it's a good thing SurveyMonkey tells you when you haven't got it right. So descriptive text. It can be, now we're on to the next page, now we're getting into the big pages. SurveyMonkey can be a little bit slow at times, even though I'm working from home. The reality is there's probably millions of other people using it across the world. It's one of the most popular ones. One of the reasons is it does have that option of having monthly subscription. So people who can't afford to pay the $300, I think it is, a year for the basic subscription, can actually go for a monthly one instead. So here we go. I'm putting a description here of the page. These first questions will focus on timetabling, teaching and learning for the block courses. You'll see how it looks when we get there. Right, okay, now we're going to add a question. So, remembering that these questions are allowing multiple answers. So, when it comes to the BYD, now it's really good in questions that you tell people where you're wanting to focus. Okay, it looks like they don't want to have my bold, so we have to leave it out. I'm wanting people to focus on timetabling, because if I went, when it comes to the timetabling, what strengths do you have in block courses? When it comes to timetabling, what strengths have you firstly found in block courses? There's a risk that people are thinking teaching and learning at the same time as they're thinking the timetabling. So I'm trying to make sure at the end of the question, at the end of the question mark, that people know exactly what it is, and then that they know that they can collect more than check or tick more than one thing. So now I come down here, I leave the other out of my cutting and pasting. There's a reason for that, because if you come down here, add another. Okay, so it's there. Now I know I can save and add the next question, so if you don't get to see what it looks like. Control Alt Tab, back to the beginning, Control C, Control V. This is, I'm a shortcut person. I'm going to turn that function off because it's beginning to really annoy me. Right, I go back here, here, here. Remembering to go down to other, tick, save and add. Next question. Add a question. This is a different type of question. So we come here. Feel free to comment. So now we're saying, hey, this is a complete, told you to add a question. Thank you. This is a completely unstructured question. Anyway, I've got no idea what people were going to say. Descriptive text is what I don't want. I want a comment or an essay box. So save and close. And now you should see that this one will have a comment, a box that the person fills out. And you're thinking, gosh, this is sort of looking like those Colma Brunton ones we talked about in Auckland. Right, as that's doing that, I'll go back. We are now on the next page. We're nearly in the home straight. Add a page. And whilst you're waiting, it's always good to sing a song. One love, one heart, let's get together. Okay. So on this page, I'm wanting to know what you want. What do you want? Now, this is another form of question now. These are going to be Likert. Remember, Likert, degrees of opinion. add a question. They don't call them Likix and SurveyMonkey, they call them something bizarre. I think it's because most people don't know what that word Likix means, so they like to give it another word. But the way that I talk about Likix is Likix means I like it. Now you can have a Likix that's got a room for 2 responses, or a Likix that's got room for 1 response. Really good research practice, only have 1 response. Okay? The row choices are the list of things that you're wanting people to give some opinion on. Got to throw that in there. Put that here. Don't want them giving an opinion on other. This bit here, the columns are, what's going to be what you want them to say. I get them looking sexy by we're bringing sexy back. Yeah, I'm just trying to entertain you West Coast style. Romeo to Harry, hooky ticka bound. Romeo on to Barrytown, Westport, Greenmouth, Caramel to if you want to I'll show you what to do. Yep, got another there. Roll on, West Coast bound. Maybe I should edit the singing out. Okay, next question. See how much quicker it is? How do you think we should be using Moodle? Okay, so this is another semi-structured question to give where persons can give responses. So a comment or an essay box. Now, as you can see here, you've got lots of different questions. Remember, Fiona said she doesn't like things like ranking. So make sure that you do things so that your surveys and questionnaires can be answered really, really quickly and are not complex. The worst thing you can do is a complex survey. So here we are. We're up to this point. Look at that's that like it. Don't you like it? I love to really celebrate the final page in surveys. A lot of surveys like to put the page up front. So the demographics up front. First, before we begin, can you tell us a bit about yourself? I don't like that because I tend to think that people don't like disclosing information if they don't know what they're disclosing it for. So I tend to have that stuff at the end. And what that means is if a person chooses not to give me that, then they don't give me it. And I still have their ideas and their opinions. So yeah, my celebration is to call it the final page. And here we are. Put that description in. Right, here's that one that I am expecting high attrition, so a lot of students not doing. Remembering shifting between programs is Alt-Tab. Nice set of keys. I know that I'm talking to the Microsoft people, but it is a really good set of keys. And then finally, our final comment. Right, down, add a question. Remembering this is descriptive text. Okay, save and close. Okay, now the next step, I've got one question with branching. I've done surveys before where it's been really complex and we've got lots of questions of branching, but I've got one question with branching. So this is called add question logic. So remember, I want people who say no to go to page 3, and I want people to end there. I want people who say yes to go to page 4. I press add question logic. If they choose yes, they go to page 4. If they choose no, they go to page 3. Save logic. Okay, now I get to this page 3. Add page logic, because I want it to close here. End of survey. Okay, so that's that bit done. I can do other things. It's all. I can change the colour. What I will do though, I'm not going to do that, is I'm just going to slip into the Welltec website and hopefully I can get a picture of that image. Hence why I'm not changing the colour. So in other places I have save image as. Now you cannot put Welltec logos on any of your surveys at all, because you have to have Welltec ethics approval to do that. We're doing it here because it's a program one. So here I'm all happy with that, but I want to add a logo. So I come here and I can put my Welltec logo and browse. Hopefully they take GIF images. Else we have to go and change that. Coming down here, top logo, open. Take a little while for the images to be uploaded. We'll say we want it just a bit smaller. I don't really like big logos. You know, pages, Welltec's the biggest picture on the page. Okay, so what I can now do here is I can preview the survey and it should work. That's what it looks like there. Nice and sexy. Get to this bit. Are you currently a Welltec student? Now, if I've done my branching right, this will take me to the end of the survey. Nice, eh? Right, preview the survey with it saying yes. So I get to tick and play with it. Okay, so let's see if I go to the next page and look at the whole lot. That's how I like it. And that's the survey. And that's it. There's a few other things I do at this point, just to make sure it's tidy. I flick down and do a quick read of the questions. You know, there are times that I do need to edit a question that's in here. So, for example, keeping block courses but having courses on, I can see an error straight away in that. So I'll edit the question. It's all very easy at this point. What I noticed was at some point, like ensuring Youth Week is never in a block course. No, I think we need to ensure the block courses are never in Youth Week. I don't think Welltec has that much power. So that's there. Ensuring block courses are never in school holidays. So, yeah, that's the sort of thinking that you got to think about. Anything that confuses students or anything that confuses the truth is ambiguous, and an ambiguous survey is a bad survey. The next thing I go through here, I'm quite happy now for my survey, so I'm going into what's called survey options. A lot of people forget to do this. Very important place to go. And the reason for that is that it actually gives you the control to keep the survey anonymous, to keep to your word. Also lets you do a few other things within the survey, like page numbering, question numbering. I'm happy with that. I like a progress bar, and I also like to show the percentage complete, because then people know where they're at. I think it can be a little bit deceptive if you don't. Titles I'm happy with. I haven't got enough money to pay for all those features. Yep. Right. It's telling us it's got branching. So they can't really do some things, and we didn't ask them to do everything. Here, I want to be able to create a web link. I usually do web link. These are all the other options you can do. Why a target? I might buy you as an audience. So I've got that. Want a web link. That web link will stay with it. You'll see what I can do now is I can survey that out. I can actually now embed that into Moodle. That's all I need to cut and paste into Moodle, and that's going to go into Moodle for me. So yeah, really, really, really good little feature. You'll see me doing that. There, change settings. Change the settings of the. I'm just going to make sure all these bits are nice and tight. Allow multiple responses from one computer. That means don't allow a person to answer more than once. The problem with usually no works and is very good, but you have to say yes when you're in a tertiary institution, because sometimes two students might answer the survey from the same computer. So you need to have yes. That's why it's got computer labs. Allowing yes responses to be edited is again always good. Yes. On your inbox and to find out what is happening next year. The BYD team. Okay, display survey results. No, I don't want that to do. And now they're in front of me. And this is when you can get really good. You can go www.welltech.ac.nz. So if you've got a web page or you've got a Facebook page, you can send them there. Okay, save IP address and results. No, I'm making this totally anonymous. Enable SSLE. IP means Internet Protocol, so it's like an address your computer has. Enable SLSS. It means make sure that everything is secure and that no one's breaking into the survey. Yes. Save that response. Right. I just realised there's one more thing I want to show you, and then it's all done. So we have a branching question, as you're aware of right at the beginning of the survey. I need to ensure that people answer that question, because if people skip past that question, they will go here and then here. So if they press next, they will skip past it. So what I am going to do is make that a question people have to ask. Now I only do this for branching questions. I do not do this for all questions. The reason why I don't do it for all questions is I want you to respond to all questions. I need you to respond to all questions. But if I make you respond to all questions, you're probably going to come up here when you're doing the survey and press X. So beforehand, as I said, you'd keep going down through the pages. Now if I go to branch, let's preview the survey. Here's our bar now. Go next. I get that response there. So that's it. That's how you create a survey. All nice and simple. Challenge yourself and look at doing a paper copy first. Maybe focus on one of those programs, one of those DVD programs I put on the DVD, and bring it to our next block course. That's it from me. That's it from my whānau behind me. Thanks for being part of our little session today. And let me know if you want any more.